Welcome everybody. Quiet please everybody. Yeah. Hopefully everyone can hear me. I know there's some who are hard of hearing here, so hopefully you can all understand what I'm saying. We're going to make a bit of a gap here because we have a very special, important entrant who's going to be coming in. So if everyone will be just very quiet because she's a little bit senile these days, unfortunately. But she's a little bit quiet. She's still very well. She doesn't look a day over 16. I know she's 17, but doesn't look it. Well, now that everyone in the family is here, including the most important people, I think let's crack on with things. So when my auntie asked me less than 2 days ago to be master of ceremonies, I was obviously delighted, and I jumped at the opportunity. And the main reason I jumped at the opportunity is to have the chance to formally, officially welcome into our family Uncle Martin. It feels like it's been a long time coming, but Uncle Martin, I'd like to say welcome to this family of dogs.
Thank you.
This family of Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc, and this family of swearing at each other in a Scouse accent. So it's fantastic to have you officially as a member, and we couldn't be more excited.
Thanks very much.
And obviously this is a wedding, so there's a few words that need to be said by some important people. And our first speaker is someone who has always been a sort of golden bastion of representing what is the right thing to do. For most of the time. He's also been an example of what not to do. But what I think we can be sure of is that he will use all of his drama talent, all of his acting abilities to deliver something that is entertaining, funny, and also poignant. So I'd like to invite Matt up to the stage.
Thank you. Want to stand in the box? Yeah, don't go that bit. Bloody hell, this is dangerous. Yeah, so no pressure then. Thanks, Rob. I've just been asked to say a few words on behalf of Jen and myself before we get to the main event, which is the one I know we're all the most excited for. That is, of course, Uncle Derm's best man speech. But firstly... who?
That's the joke, Martin.
Thanks, though.
Martin's leaving! You've upset him already. He's gone, mate.
I'd like to start, though, by just thanking everyone for being here today. It's great to see so many of you, so many friends and family who've been able to join us for what I think we'll all agree is the event of, certainly the event of the year, if not the event of the decade, and that is, of course, Mama Martin's wedding day. And Mum, Martin, I think I can speak on behalf of everybody here today when I say, it's about bloody time. When Mum told me that she wanted me to do a speech today, she told me to think of it as being a little bit like a father of the bride speech. You see, sadly, her dad, our grandpa, passed away about 1.5 years ago, so he couldn't be up here today to deliver this himself. So, that honour has fallen to me. So, as you can imagine, when writing this, I went away and got a bit of help, and I Googled what's customary to include in a father of the bride speech. So, Mum, I'd like to start by saying how proud we are to see our little angel blossom into the woman that you've become today. We first met in that hospital in Winchester, a little over 29 years ago, a day I still remember so well. Over the years, we've seen it all, including all those times you tried to sneak back into the house after going out and getting drunk with your mates. Jackie and Sandra, I'm looking at you. And out of all the boyfriends that you've brought home to us over the years, Martin is definitely our favourite. And speaking of Martin, he's been a part of our lives now for so long that it's hard to know quite where to begin. In fact, when Jen and I first started writing this speech, we realised that we couldn't actually remember the first time we met Martin. But what we do remember is thinking just how great he was and how perfect he was for Mum. And that smile that Mum had on her face when she got back from that holiday to Grenada where they first met is something we'll never forget. Now, whilst we may not remember the first time we met Martin, we do remember the second. With this being such a significant meeting, Mum, in her infinite wisdom, let us choose where it took place. Now, apparently, she was expecting us to choose Pizza Express or the cinema, and not, in fact, what we ended up choosing, which was Centre Parks. Any excuse for a free holiday, though? Am I right, Jen? Woo! This trip actually turned out to be a bit of a baptism of fire for Martin, though. Jen and I fought the entire time, which included nearly getting into a punch-up over a game of bowling and trying to drown each other in the whirlpool multiple times. Needless to say, though, Martin took this all in his stride and passed his initiation with flying colours. Since then, Martin's always been there for Jen and I. He helped to teach Jen how to drive, and, well, tried to teach me how to drive. Don't worry, Martin, there's still plenty of time. Yeah, sorry, Marcus. He gave us both jobs with his company Pancentric when we were struggling to find one. And of course, when we first moved to London, he let us both live in the spare room of his flat when we couldn't find anywhere to live. So as you can imagine, we owe Martin a hell of a lot of rent. Another one of my personal favourite memories of Martin came at my 21st birthday. The theme for that birthday required guests to come in their loudest, most jazzy outfits. And I'm sure a lot of you in this room today will remember, Martin somewhat upstaged me that day. When he rocked up wearing a black suit covered in head to toe in marijuana leaves. Something that my friends still talk about to this day. Pretty iconic outfit though. And I'd actually hoped, Martin, that you would have been wearing that suit today, but I can only assume that Mum wouldn't let you. Yeah. And on that note, Mum, we'd like to take a minute to just say how beautiful you look today. We're so incredibly happy to be able to share this day with you. A day that I think you weren't sure would ever happen, but we're so happy that it has. It's so lovely to see how happy Martin has made you because, let's face it, if anybody deserves happiness, it's you. Over the years, you've taught Jen and I so much and have helped to shape the people that we become today. From your kindness to others, to your obsession with dogs, to you always being the life and soul of every party that you attend. Well, as long as that party's over by 10 p.m. You're an incredible role model, and we can't thank you enough for all that you've done for us. We couldn't have asked for a better mum, and we can only hope to follow your example in the future. You've also shown us what true love looks like, all those years ago when you first found that special someone. Someone who since then you've spent all of your time with, who you've loved nothing more than cuddling up on the sofa with, and who, over the years, you've gone for many a long walk on the beach with. I am, of course, talking about Prada. Or, sorry, to use her full name, full name that Mum's given her, Pretty Prada Chanel Buttercup Frenchy Bluebell Petunia Poppy. I had to write those down because she keeps adding to them. And at the ripe old age of 17, we're so happy that she could be here today also to celebrate. But this also shows what a great guy Martin truly is for embracing our bizarre, dog-obsessed family in the way that he has. Martin, thank you for all that you've done for us. We're so happy that we can finally officially call you our stepdad. Now, lastly, the final thing that Google said to do in a Father of the Bride speech was to end on some advice. So here we go. Mum and Martin, always treat each other with love and respect, and remember, you're an equal partnership. Make time for each other. Make time for each other. Go on adventures together whilst you still can. Learn to compromise and never let small issues become big ones. And always remember to cherish each other, no matter what life throws at you. So if I could ask Porge to hand over the glasses. We'd like to raise the first toast of the evening.
To Mum and Martini.
To the bride and groom! Cheers, mate.
Very well done.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Matt. That was delivered with as much pomp and conviction as I knew it would be. As is customary at weddings, I'd like to hand the mic straight over to the groom to give a response to the father of, son of the bride. So, Martin.
Thank you. Thanks, Dad. Well, thank you. Is this working? Thank you, all of you, for coming and celebrating with us and this special day. It's a fantastic day for us. Gillingham have won 1-0, which makes it a really unique day, actually. I have lots of other thank yous, particularly to Derm and Jill and Porge and Rob for lending us their lovely home today. They only got back from Mar-a-Lago on Thursday morning, wasn't it? And their house has been transformed. So thank you very much. And thank you for treating me like a member of the family for the last 15, 16 years, because you really have. You've been amazing. Thank you to Matt for that amazing speech and for walking his mum down the aisle and giving her away to me. That's wonderful. And thank you, Jen. Jen, for I've never seen such a fast mover. Yeah, but a beautiful bit of work. Thank you for being our bridesmaid, maid of honour. Thank you very much to Rob as well for emceeing, and for Porge for being the most wonderful distributor of biodegradable. Thank you, Porge. Anna, Katie and Jules for some little treat which I think is round the corner, and I think it might be on the table. They've done the cake. And to Alison and Carolyn and Jane for everything they've done to make this garage look like a disco and everything else. They worked tirelessly. Thank you very much. And to Viv and her team for handing out the most delicious canapes and drinks, and there's lots more of those to go. And last but not least, my lovely wife. My lovely wife, Andrea. She's organised pretty much everything about today. And she's just wonderful. She really is wonderful. I'm very, very proud to be able to call her my wife. Andrea is kind, she's caring, she's loving, she's positive, she's enthusiastic, she's a huge character. She sprinkles love and joy on everything she touches. She's the most positive, wonderful person. She really is. Fantastic. We met, as some of you will no doubt know, 16 years ago in Grenada, and we were both solos. Now that meant we went to this hotel that sort of catered to sad and lonely people like us. And we were solo for about half an hour, because on the first night we sat down at dinner together and we talked and got to know each other a little bit. The next morning, we both woke up so early. We were the first two people awake in the hotel. And I thought I'd go and get some breakfast. And they're the only other person in the whole of this restaurant was Andrea. And so I thought I'd be rather suave and smooth. And I wandered up to her and said, do you mind if I join you? And she seemed to be very happy. In fact, she was laughing quite a lot. because unbeknown to me, she'd actually noticed as I approached the restaurant, walked up the steps, that I tripped over the toe of my sandal and made an absolute arse of myself. So that was what was making her so happy, not the fact that I wanted to sit with her. Anyway, the laughter continued, and the rest, as they say, is history. And now, 16 years, some of you might be thinking, well, you're rushing into this. Others might be thinking, what the bloody hell kept you? And what kept me, obviously, my excuse is that I was looking for the right moment. The right moment to pop that question. And just recently, last August, as you probably all know, every August there's a meteor shower. It's the Perseid meteor shower. The sky is full of flying, little bits of comet. And I thought, wow, I wonder if I could get Andrea up to the top of one of the Surrey hills, and on a blanket we'd look at the stars, and then we'd see, maybe about midnight, we'd see a shooting star race across the firmament, and I'd turn and say, darling, will you marry me? And I thought, no, that's never going to work because she goes to bed by 10 o'clock. So anyway, I tried very hard to think of some other novel and unique way of popping the question and finding that right moment. As it happens, I overheard Andrea telling one of her friends, since we've agreed to do this thing, she was talking to one of her girlfriends on the phone. You know who you are. And she said, he's finally done it. She said, I thought when we went to Sri Lanka and we climbed that peak that he proposed to me at the top of the peak. But no. And I thought when we dived with sharks in the Maldives, he might propose to me underwater. No. And then there was that starry night. We had that candlelit dinner in Dubrovnik. Perfect, but no. What I realise now is I've been going around the world with Andrea everywhere, just disappointing her everywhere. And for that, I'm very sorry, sweetheart. I'm sorry. I am a bit slow sometimes to come to a decision. Simon, I can see you agreeing there. And Andrea is remarkably fast at making decisions, which is admirable. She can make 20 decisions in the time that I take to make one. In fact, she gets up in the morning and she hits the ground running. She's made 20 or 30 decisions every morning before I'm even awake. And she's phenomenal. She's just at it. She's worked so hard every day. She just never ever stops. She never sits down. And sometimes I get a little bit of a glimpse into this world of Andrea, what's happening inside her head and what she's doing. She woke me, and bless her, as she frequently does, with a cup of coffee, probably about 10 to 7 one morning a few months ago. And I think she'd probably been up since about 6 o'clock. And when she woke me up, she said, "That's your coffee, dear." I went, "Oh, thank you very much." And then she started telling me something. Now, I had to write this down. Excuse me for referring to my notes, because I'd never remember this, but this gave me a glimpse into the busyness of Andrea and what goes on in her head. So, and these are the first words I'm hearing in the morning. So I'm half awake, and down it comes. She downloads this information. So I think she said something like, "I've booked the flight to go to Kinabalu, and the taxi's organised for Spain on Saturday. I'm going to walk Dougie, Millie, Dolly, Pippa and Oscar at 8, and then pick up Cara, Gracie, Macy and Daisy. You'll have to listen out for the DPD man as he's coming between 10:30 and 11. By which time I'll be on my second walk, and if I can take the Daxies out to the wreck before I get changed to go to the chiropractor, it'll mean when I go to B&Q in Leatherhead to get the paint, I can also pop into Tesco before I come back and give Daisy her pill and get Prada's anal gland seen to. And what do you fancy for your lunch?" That's not all, because in amongst all that stuff that she just downloaded, she'll be doing other things. I will lift my head up from my desk at work and look out in the garden in the middle of the day, and she'll be reseeding the lawn or painting the shed. I mean, I've been thinking about painting the shed for months. Thinking which brush to use, so, it's not easy. Andrea just gets and bloody does it, she's just extraordinary. But she cares for everyone and everything around her. She cares for her family, her friends. She cares for animals, of course. She cares for the postman. She cares for... not in that way. So she does. She cares for all sorts of animals, and animals especially, dogs, foxes, birds, parakeets. They hit the window sometimes. Moths, bees, maybugs. Talking about bees, she once tried to revive a bee that was dying in our garage. She tried to revive it by feeding it more honey than it had ever produced. And if that bee had had larger lips, she probably would have given it mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. Even the rat that set up home underneath our shed got given a name. He got given a name. Leslie, exactly, Leslie. And he was persuaded very gently and very humanely to maybe move out. Matt and Jen have gone, why don't you go with me? Anyway, courtesy of Andrea's love for everything in the animal kingdom, we have travelled the length of this country and more. We've flown to Scotland, hired a car, driven down to somewhere called Banborough, spent the night there, gone to a place called Sea Houses, got a boat out to the Farne Islands just to see a bloody puffin. And very disappointing it was too. I don't know if anyone's ever seen a puffin. They're snub... Teta's seen a puffin. Well done, Teta. Little snub-nosed things. And just warn everyone, they are nothing like a penguin. Okay? See where the mistake was made there. That's where we travelled all that way to see what we thought was going to be a penguin. Now, the baby boomers amongst us, and there's only a few of us, will remember, hopefully, a children's TV show called Animal Magic. Johnny Morris, that's it. Johnny Morris, a kindly, lovely old man who's probably younger than me. But he used to have this fantastic knack of putting voiceovers over animals. So you'd have a little film of a couple of gorillas, and one of them would be plucking nits out of its mate's head, and the voiceover going, oh, that's really nice. Have you got any more of those? Oh, delicious. Or you'd see a giraffe, and the giraffe would be going, no, I can see the coast from here. Anyway, Johnny Morris, and it was enchanting, and I used to love it as a kid. Well,
right on cue.
Yes. Oh, what's that? Any food up there? No, I don't think so. Anyway, well, we won't do that. Anyway, Andrea does the same. She does the same, and she's been doing the same for the last 17 years with this little dog here. This little dog has no idea that she's anything more than a little dog. She thinks, I eat, I sleep, I poo, I'm a little dog. I'm not according to Andrea. Andrea has imbued in this little dog a character and an opinion and a voice with inflection and an accent and intonation. She really exists, and we all know that voice, and we have conversations with her. In fact, I sometimes get phone calls from Pretty. So I'm working in the middle of the day, my phone goes, I go, hello. Oh, hello, Uncle Martin. Hello, Pretty. What are you up to? Oh, well, Nana's taking me to the wreck. She calls Pretty calls Andrea Nana, but she calls Jen Mum, and she calls the lady who comes with the van to do that thing with her, backside and cut her nails. She calls her Auntie Arsehole. That's right. So Pretty will say, yes, Auntie Arsehole came and did my anal gland this morning, and now Nana's taking me to the wreck, but I did a wee in her car. And I said, oh, that's terrible, Pretty. Yes, but it's all right because Nana says I'm the human equivalent of 119 years old. Oh, jolly. Can I speak to Nana? No, she's too busy. She's going to Tesco's in Brooklands to buy some wine. So, and that's how it goes. So anyway, I'm coming to an end very soon. The downside of Andrea's love for all animals is that going anywhere with her means it takes a little bit longer because she feels compelled to say hello to every single dog we meet. Like, hello, what's your name? Hello. Come on. Anyway, it's a small price to pay for being married to someone so lovely. Someone so lovely and kind and sweet as Andrea. Andrea's full of goodness and positivity. She's a glass half full kind of girl. And anyone who knows Andrea knows that most often her glass is half full of Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc. Talking of which, it is time, if you've got half glasses of Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc, to raise them in a toast to our lovely maid of honour, to Jen. Please.
Thank you very much, Martin, for that fantastic and appropriately length speech. It now gives me great pleasure to introduce the best man, who has spent the last several minutes furiously writing down new material after it was all hijacked in that speech. But without further ado, I'd like to welcome the best man, who is also my dad. So, Dad.
I'm going to sit behind you.
Okay.
Thank you. I was here entertaining for the last couple of hours. Did anyone hear the score in the rugby? Tell me later. It is fantastic to see so many people in my garage. And I can tell you, it didn't look like this 2 days ago. But thanks to the Herculean efforts, the props department, and the fantastic vision and hard work of Alison Moss, Carolyn, and Jane, who's not here. But thanks very much. You guys have been stars. When I built this garage during lockdown, I thought it would be a place to store my tools, maybe have a workshop and hide a sports car. But then Martin gave me that television, that beer fridge, and that pool table. So it became more a games room, and we've had some fantastic evenings playing sport, Martin and I, and Tim and Marcus, for a tiny little trophy that actually means this much to us. It's huge.
So, where is that trophy? Sorry.
It's with the Cobshites. But it is great to see 80 people drinking champagne in my garage. Now, I have received 2 telegrams, which I'd like to read out to you. It's quite old-fashioned, but the kids won't know, but telegrams used to get sent to wedding venues for people who couldn't be there. And it was up to the best man to read them out, and we all thought about the people that weren't there. So the first one is to Andrea. It reads, "I was devastated to hear that you are now off the market." Stop. But all the best for the future. And that is from George Clooney. Now this second one is to Martin. It reads, "I was devastated to hear you are now off the market." stop. But all the best for the future. And that's from George Michael. When I was doing the prep for this speech, like all the Gen Zers of the day, I thought I'd get the internet to write it for me. So I got onto the web for 4 or 5 hours and found some really interesting, good stuff. And then I remembered I was supposed to be writing a speech. I did find an AI engine, to be honest, a search engine, and so I put in Martin Boswell and a few other parameters, and it came up with some, well, a bloody great big tome for me to read to you today. So I thought, let's get cracked. I picked it up this morning just to give it a quick run through, and I'm afraid it's inappropriate. I can't use it. I think it's something to do with the engine, the search engine I used. It was Chat LGBT4. Now, the last Best Man speech I made, I knew the groom during his school days. And that's not the case for Martin. I've never been to King's School, Rochester, and I probably never will.
Don't blame me.
But I think Martin would have been a model pupil. I think probably diligent, did his homework, never skipped double maths to go to the pub. And I don't think ever would he have been caught behind the bike sheds, listening to Pink Floyd and smoking a spliff. Maybe not so novel. But there are people here who did know Martin during his formative years, particularly living in London. And I'd like to call on one of them just to give you a bit of a flavour for those times. He is a multi-award winning stage actor. He is appearing next week in a one-act dramatic comedy, written by his very talented wife, Tinks. He is the lead performer for the Please Lake Players. Tickets still available. Please welcome Mr. Mark Davies.
This is a very short interlude, so I won't bother to try and climb onto the...
Wrong way.
There you are. Anyway, tickets are quite easy to get hold of. Now, Dermot kindly asked me to say a few words. Give a little example of Martin's early life. This isn't about school, though Martin and I met at school when we were 8 and 9. I was the older of the two. King's School, Rochester. And Martin was caught many times behind the bike sheds with a spliff. But we left. We managed to stay there all the way through until A-levels. And then went out in the big wide world to get jobs, etc. And inevitably, we ended up moving to London. Martin went first. Martin moved to a rather nice house in West Kensington called Norrie Lodge, owned by a poor, unsuspecting Italian princess. Now, 6 months later, I moved in. Now, the number who lived there was a bit movable feast. I think it was meant to be 7. It had all the mod cons except a washing machine. Now, Martin, this fine, upstanding pillar of the community, I think Martin might have realised which story is coming. Now married to the gorgeous Andrea. Prior to moving to London, had been extremely well cared for and looked after by his mother, Sybil. Household chores, therefore, weren't the top of his list on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, quarterly. I can't remember who spotted it first, but we all found ourselves one Saturday morning looking in wonderment at Martin's bed. More particularly at the nylon yellow bottom sheet. Now, most of you will be aware of the religious icon called the Turin Shroud. This linen cloth, 14 foot by 4 foot, bears the outline of a man which many believe is the image of Jesus Christ. And carbon dating suggests that it could actually be that old. Now, we in Norrie Lodge, however, did not need carbon dating to realise this brown outline of a man in his early 20s was actually that of Martin Boswell. Hence the legend of the Norrie Shroud was born. Sadly, for those of you wishing to see this modern icon, will be disappointed. It has been lost to history and all of humanity because Martin rushed out to the nearest laundrette and washed away the evidence. Martin's early life, an example.
So to continue, I really only got involved with Martin when he met Andrea. Andrea. There's some material there, I'll tell you. Like Gilly, we were keen to get Andrea close to us, and she moved to Cobham with Matt and Jen, and we shared child rearing duties. But like any single person around here, you went to the Albert pub just up in the High Street. Thursday and Friday nights, they were humming. Andrea would go up. I'd be on standby. I'd get the call. She'd give me the password. I would race up there and pretend to be a long-lost lover or a younger brother. And spoil it for the poor chap who'd latched on and thought his dreams had come true. We've heard how they met in Grenada, and it was Andrea's lack of success at the Albert that made her book a singles holiday to Grenada in 2009, and as we know, coincidentally, Martin was also on the same trip. And I'm going to tell you the real story of how they met. On arrival, Martin asked the receptionist where the singles dining table was. And on approach, Andrea was heard to say determinedly, "And that one's sitting right here." They did share a breakfast table the next day, and in the afternoon their sunbeds were next to each other. The following morning they both had to resign from the singles group. When they came back, the relationship grew. Martin was living and working in Wandsworth, and Andrea used to go and visit. And I know that because we'd have 8 dogs to stay here. Martin came down and visited Andrea in Cobham. And mate, I give you a lot of credit for putting up with those dogs on your days off. But then again, Andrea has to listen to your piano playing. It was clearly a test for both of them, and they passed it. Gilly and I could see that they were well suited It was a good fit, like an old sofa or a comfy pair of jeans. Martin, you've built a brilliant relationship with Matt and Jen. You are obviously devoted to the family, and you are clearly very much in love with Andrea, who you just married today, and that, as Rob said, brings you into our family as well, and we welcome you with open arms. So before we toast them again, let's just reflect on why we're here. We are their closest friends. We have mutual respect for each other. And we should make a pact here and now to support them, to love them, and to help them lead a happy and fulfilling life together. I give you Martin and Andrea.
Thank you very much, Dad, for that lovely speech. We have just a couple more formalities before we can get on with the fun part of the evening. I was going to say we probably do need you to stand up on something, but I'd like to hand the microphone over to the most important lady in this room, who looks absolutely fantastic in a picture of sophistication, my Auntie Andrea.
Well, you'll all be very pleased to know that I am not going to make a speech tonight. However, would you please all raise your glasses and to toast absent friends and family. Absent friends and family. Thank you.